There's only about 3 of them that are legitimate. And
well, stuff comes from
maybe
his
it's
patents and
2.
stuff comes from his patents and stuff. Like we
I've
go
looked,
through,
by the way,
we
I've
don't go
looked
through
into
your
this.
everyday life without running across at least.
I've looked into this. So yes, old technology is used in a lot of modern technology.
There you go.
For example,
exactly.
Tesla invented.
So he started it. He started the process.
No, he didn't. So Tesla's credited with inventing the modern version of the three-phase induction motor.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the first person to invent an induction motor. He wasn't the first person to invent a multi-phase induction motor.
And like I said,
predates him by like 100 years.
I don't got a PhD or nothing. I just kind of look into physics as a hobby. It's more of a hobby to me. I've never went to school for it and stuff. It's just something I like doing.
Tesla wasn't a physicist, by the way.
But well,
this will not go well.
And this is where it's not going to go well for you, Dr. Blitz.
Tesla wasn't a physicist, by the way.
So why are you saying this? Why do you think Tesla's not a physicist? Just because he didn't follow the beliefs we have now that we've proven 100 years later? He was a physicist of his time. It's a pretty weird thing to say. Wish I had recorded the rest of this so that I could actually show what the other things you were saying, but I don't believe you'll be that upset with me paraphrasing you here. But I believe you don't think he basically did anything other than a few things. I think you think he was just an electrician of the sorts. I will admit he technically didn't get his undergrad in physics. He was doing his undergraduate work in mechanical engineering and he did not finish it. However, that being said, he had many honorary degrees and honorary PhDs from a couple different universities. This is why they referred to him as Dr. Tesla at the end of his life. And just because you don't understand how some of his stuff works doesn't mean it doesn't work. Just because you aren't privy to it being used, it doesn't mean it doesn't work and it's not being used. I think you forget what was going on during the last years of his life. Considering he died in 1945, spent the last 20 years of his life penniless, doing nothing but lived in a double room in the most expensive and most lavish hotel in the entire world at the time. Rent-free. Got it. He was working on confidential projects, bro. He worked for the government. It's not that complicated. Again, just because you're not privy to this information doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean it's not being done. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe you're familiar with ground dipole antennas. They functionally couldn't have worked if Tesla wasn't absolutely right about the Earth is conductive, meaning the Earth can be used as the transmission waveguide medium for electric currents and mechanical vibrations. I don't think you understand what he actually was doing because you haven't actually looked into this. I know you say you have.
I've looked into this.
I can tell you haven't by what you're saying here. I know you haven't. As someone who also has a degree in physics, I'm not a doctor, but who's someone who also has a degree in physics, I have looked at this, and it is absolutely viable, works, it's being used, and I can say because you're saying what you're saying, you haven't looked into it. And it's fine. I know that a lot of the stuff is hidden, so you might think you looked into it. The biggest problem with Tesla's work is that there is a bunch of people who have gone out and manufactured nonsense to either explain it or just attach his name to theirs. But it might look like you have even dove really far in to his work, but really it might never even scratch the surface because even personally, I really dislike how hard it is to find all of his work. One, because thanks Elon for, you can't search anything about Nikola Tesla without just being flooded with the car ads that have nothing to do with this, so cool. Thanks for that help, Elon. If you don't know where to find them, you're not going to know what he actually said. And if you listen to what other people said, you're just going to get told it can't work. You're going to get told it can't work for reasons that it doesn't even work too. As I've made multiple videos about Neil deGrasse Tyson and a couple other people claiming things about it, and it's just blatant straw man. It's just blatant straw man arguments that saying it can't work for reasons it doesn't even operate. For example, Neil deGrasse Tyson has said,
the people in the Nikola Tesla fan club somehow feel that he got wronged in his life.
Everyone is thinking he's got the solution to the future transmission of energy. No, he doesn't.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying that, but what
He
they are
did,
saying
and his fans do. But his contributions to electromagnetism are real and recognized in the world of physics. There's a unit of electromagnetism named after him. So don't come crying to me, say he was not recognized by my people, okay? He had some ideas that were a little out there on a level where it almost certainly would have not worked. Much of the rest of his work was fringe and unrealized, either for violating known laws of physics or for being simply impractical. That's a bold statement. Electromagnetic energy, you can ask, how much energy is in that? Well, not much. Well, of what good is it? You're not going to run a motor with it. Oh, you know what we found? We can use electromagnetic radio waves. We can use radio waves not to transmit energy. That's not the point of it. As your photons get higher and higher energy, yes, you can start doing things with them. You get X-rays and gamma rays. But that's not what Tesla was referring to. He was talking about moving radio waves. This opening thesis is false. There are plenty of examples of this that have escaped your attention, and here's why.
The problem is that's not what Tesla said to do at all. Tesla's wireless transmission system does not send energy through the air using electromagnetic waves, radio waves or otherwise. It sends alternating electric currents and mechanical vibrations through the dirt and soil. This is what seismology is all about.
I feel like we have a good jumping off point. Okay.
The circumference of the Earth could be...
honestly?
Do you want this in kilometers or miles?
Fuck if I care.
24,901 miles.
Well, we gotta write this down.
Yeah.
Can you get a Post-it or, something? Stick that up. We can see a difference in structure here. We clearly have some sort of pyramid cap on it, which is likely made of a different material that suits my interests.
Let me ask you this. If you were to place an antenna anywhere in a pyramid...
I mean, being a rational kind of guy, I'd put it at the highest point.
What's the highest point of a pyramid?
But that's not what Tesla was referring to. So then I thought, out of respect for him, what I should do is give him my most informed critical analysis that I can. In my field, you come up with an idea.
I mean, being a rational kind of guy, I'd put it at the highest point.
You present it either at a conference or you...
About pseudoarchaeology and pseudoscience a lot, because God knows these videos are a dime a dozen. Pseudoscience pipeline that the algorithm of these apps literally encourages.
Cap. No way. Bullshit.
What's going on, man?
To your colleagues. It is their duty to alert you of things about your ideas that are either misguided or wrong.
Let me ask you this. If you were to place an antenna anywhere in a pyramid...
I mean, being a rational kind of guy, I'd put it at the highest point.
And what's the highest point of a pyramid?
Their job. Not all ideas will turn out to be correct. Most won't be.
I mean, being a rational kind of guy, I'd put it at the highest point.
Moving radio waves. But to get to that point, you need to know things like...
Nikola Tesla's wireless energy transmission system does not rely on sending energy through the air using radio waves. It sends energy via alternating electric currents or mechanical vibrations through the earth and the conductive dirt and soil. The earth is conductive and also transmits mechanical vibrations. This is what seismology is all about. Add on the bacon bits of the electroseismic effect, where mechanical vibrations of the earth rectify into alternating electric currents because the earth itself is piezoelectric or piezoelectric.
I feel like there's a key ingredient here. The one problem is we
go between like meters and feet when convenient.
Oh my!
He proposed a method for the transmission of large amounts of power over vast distances by means of mechanical vibration of the Earth's crust. The source of power is a mechanical or electromechanical device.
No way. I can find no evidence of these. I doubt they were archaeologists, because every archaeologist who's looked at it has said it's a fucking mountain.
Bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump, 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 jump.
Whoa! You know why? Because it's... of sedimentary rock. There's like layers of stone underneath that are all really loose. So
Electromechanical device bolted to some rocky protuberance, imparting power at a resonance frequency for the transmission of large amounts of power over vast distances by means of mechanical vibrations of the Earth's crust. The source of power is a mechanical oscillator, i.e.
pyramid.
either just a set of tuning forks or...
It makes a fucking... Yes, they are all natural. Pyramid in Antarctica.
I know something you don't know.
Cap. No way. Vulcan not. Jesus Christ, we need to fund education in this country. You can't get me this fucking riled up looking like this, bro, okay? It's ridiculous. Clearly seem to be created. What is your expertise in this field, huh? Every archaeologist will tell you that is definitely just a natural rock, but me, fucking
Physicist.
I know the truth.
So mechanical vibrations put in the earth rectify into electrical currents through the earth as well, vice versa. Electrical currents through the earth can rectify into mechanical vibrations through the earth. It works. You're just not familiar with it.
You can't pack sufficient energy in your radio wave to do anything we need to do mechanically. If you had enough power in radio waves to power a light bulb through the air, are you standing in the way of this? You want to move it through the air and you want to walk around like, no, that's not how that works.
I've looked into this.
Again, I also know it took me many years to actually breach the surface of his actual work, getting through all the woo-woo. I think it's intentional, but that's just my belief. But there is a literal hard shell of absolute nonsense and crazy surrounding and enshrouding all of his actual work. And if you don't go read his actual patents, you won't know anything about what he actually said. You're gonna get flooded with a sea of literal fake quotes from him plastered all across his face of pictures. Everyone who can watch any of this will know that they've looked at any group related to Nikola Tesla, and it's just fake quotes and nothing related to what he actually did. It's just repeating the same stuff over and over and over.
Can I blow your mind again?
Yeah,
This is really good stuff. People in the Nikola Tesla fan club somehow feel that he got wronged in his life.
Yes.
Surely some of that is true with regard to his.
I'm pretty sure it's because there's information control. But, I'll do this right now. Do you see how big this book is? This is just his U.S. patents, bro. Just the U.S. And he had a bunch that he didn't patent in the U.S. because he didn't need to. He was only patenting them where he thought they were reasonable to protect his ideas, because he wasn't an altruist. He was still trying to make money off his ideas. He just wasn't a manufacturer.
There's only about 3 of them that are
He had over
legitimate.
300 patents.
So
Maybe
much
it's
padding
2.
and
I don't
stuff.
think you can name any of them and don't have to deal with any sort of electrical work, too. He's got like 6 different steam turbine. In fact, he invented the Chang thermodynamics cycle 50 years before Dr. Chang got credit for it in the 70s. I don't think you realize that. But no, he wasn't a physicist. He only did all sorts of thermodynamics work. He only did electrical work. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't call him a mechanical engineer because he knows a lot of electrical work, and you wouldn't call him an electrical engineer because he knows a heck ton of mechanical work. And I'm pretty sure the physicist is a combination of electrical, mechanical, acoustics. Now we do a lot more wave theory and quantum mechanics. But what exactly do you think the spherical harmonics of the Earth is governed by? The vibrational modes in the Earth. It is literally quantum mechanics. What we studied. You know how many times we were taught stuff, and they taught us the math and told us it was for this, and then later we were taught something else, and they're like, hey, you remember the math you learned on that? It's the same stuff. You just apply it slightly different. Something like linear algebra. You're doing matrices, you set up matrices the same way, and you just keep doing the solutions for the matrices over, and they keep telling you, hey, so you do this, you can solve these things with this system of numbers with it, you can solve these, and you're like, each time you're like, wait, did we do that? Cool. It's the same thing. You just keep putting things in the same matrix the same way. But it's clear. He had multiple improvements for turbines. He had multiple improvements for sulfur extraction methods. He had patents for the metal purifications. He had a freaking rainmaking patent that the only reason he doesn't have his name to it is because they turned it down, not because it couldn't work, but because it was an already existing natural process, and you can't patent a natural process. So it worked. It just wasn't allowed to have a patent for it. So, and I don't think you know anything about his rainmaking patent. Do you know about his car patent that he had? He's got a Tesla valve. What he did in these improvement patents displays just how well he understood physics above a lot of other people of his time. And not just mechanical, not just electrical, in ways that you wouldn't ever see from either of them. He was a physicist. He wasn't a modern physicist because he didn't go to school at the same time we did. They didn't have that science before him. He was like 60, 70 by the time all those theories that you think he was disproved on even were theorized. Never mind, I even have proof that Tesla actually has measured the positron a whole 30 years before Carl Anderson got a Nobel Prize for inadvertently measuring it. 30 years later. Yeah, he wasn't a physicist. He only was measuring cosmic rays. He was only one of the first of them to really quite classify and talk about them. He only had a patent for collecting them and using them for actual work, which I know you're going to try and tell me couldn't work because of the cosmic ray flux density isn't high enough. But I'm telling you, you're not familiar with the rest of his work to make it work. It doesn't just work. He patented the components to things. That's how patents work. He wasn't dumb just because you were told he was. On this occasion, I would contradict the widely circulated report that the structure was demolished by the government, which owing to war conditions might have created prejudice in the minds of those who might not know that the papers, which 30 years ago conferred upon me the honor of American citizenship, are always kept in a safe, while my orders, diplomas, degrees, gold medals, and other distinctions are packed away in old trunks. If this report had a foundation, I would have been refunded a large sum of money which I expended in the construction of the tower. On the contrary, it was in the interest of the government to preserve it, particularly as it would have made possible, to mention just one valuable result, the location of a submarine in any part of the world. My plant, services, and all my improvements have always been at the disposal of the officials, and ever since the outbreak of the European conflict, I have been working at a sacrifice on several inventions of mine relating to aerial navigation, ship propulsion, and wireless transmission, which are of the greatest importance to the country. Those who are well informed know that my ideas have revolutionized the industries of the United States, and I am not aware that there lives an inventor who has been, in this respect, as fortunate as myself, especially as regards to the use of his improvements in the war. I have refrained from publicly expressing myself on this subject before, as it seemed improper to dwell on personal matters while all the world was in dire trouble. I would add further, in view of the various rumors which have reached me, that Mr. J. Pierpont Morgan did not interest himself with me in a business way, but in the same large spirit in which he has assisted many other pioneers. He carried out his generous promise to the letter, and it would have been most unreasonable to expect from him anything more. He had the highest regard for my attainments and gave me every evidence of his complete faith in my ability to ultimately achieve what I had set out to do. I am unwilling to accord to some small-minded and jealous individuals the satisfaction of having thwarted my efforts.
But I've heard
if you're moving
discuss
enough energy through the air to power something that itself could kill you, the energy moving through the air could kill you.
Tyson also raised concerns about the safety of transmitting energy through the air. However, here's where the disconnect happens. Tyson's dismissal is rooted in a straw man argument. He critiques Tesla's system based on the premise that it relies on radio waves traveling through the air to transmit energy. But that's not what Tesla had in mind at all. Tesla's actual system was designed to send ultra-high voltage alternating currents, UHVAC, into the ground, not through the air. Tesla himself stated that electromagnetic wave energy, or as he called them, Hertzian waves, would not transmit through the air effectively, specifically because of the inverse square law, also referred to as dispersion issues. The men who used his magnifying transmitter in such a way, Tesla dubbed the radio men, and further mocked their efforts in a well-documented pre-hearing council meeting. So, in essence, Tyson isn't wrong because the physics he proposes is entirely accurate. It's that Tyson is debunking a version of Tesla's system that Tesla himself never proposed. By not accurately representing Tesla's actual system, Tyson inadvertently steers the conversation away from the real science and physics behind it.
So Tesla, everyone is thinking he's got the solution to the future transmission of energy. No, he doesn't.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying that, but what
He
they are
did,
saying,
and his fans do.
Contrary to popular misconception, Nikola Tesla's actual wireless transmission system did not rely on transmitting energy through the air using radio waves. Instead, he proposed a system that leveraged the natural conductive properties of the Earth. Tesla's ingenious design sent ultra-high voltage alternating currents into the ground, not radio waves through the air. Tesla's system was grounded by the drive for scientific, practical, and transformative solutions, not in the world of science fiction. His idea was to use the Earth as a giant conductor, with a transmitter sending electrical currents into the globe and a receiver pulling them out elsewhere. Now let's delve into one of Nikola Tesla's lesser understood yet revolutionary ideas, the concept of transmitting electrical power using a single wire without requiring a return circuit. Such a concept stands as a significant cost-saving measure, with the potential to redefine power transmission systems worldwide.
We now send energy through wires because you're not standing in the way of the wire. The wire is buried. The wire has insulation.
It would
The
have some
wire's
sort of
on a high
residual effect.
suspension.
In the late 19th century, the prevailing form of electrical transmission was the direct current DC system. However, the DC system had its limitations, notably its inefficiency in delivering high power over extended distances. Tesla's introduction of alternating current AC systems allowed for the stepping up of voltage and stepping down of current to drastically reduce ohmic loss. This innovation has driven the vast majority of energy transmission since its inception. He proposed using an alternating current generator to push low voltage, high current into a step-up transmission transformer. This would produce high voltage, low current for transmission across wires. The high voltage, low current would then be adjusted via a step-down transformer at the destination, yielding a manageable low voltage, high current output for everyday use. This AC system overcame the barriers of high current-related losses intrinsic to the DC systems, enabling power transmission over longer distances with much less energy loss. Yet, traditional AC systems typically required 2 wires for transmission. Tesla, ever the innovator, deemed the second wire superfluous and a wasteful expense. He endeavored to find a method to transmit power efficiently using only 1 wire, thereby eliminating the need for a return wire. To go one step further, Tesla's most radical vision was to conceptualize the Earth itself as the single wire for the simultaneous transmission of power and information. The Earth is filled with conductive materials like water and various minerals that facilitate the flow of electrical currents. By utilizing the Earth itself, the entire planet will become an interconnected energy and information network without the limitations posed by traditional infrastructure. Tesla's invention of single-wire transmission was a precursor to his ultimate aim, the wireless transmission of energy and information through Earth. Imagine rural areas gaining effortless access to power, or the possibility of transmitting vast amounts of data without the need for extensive and costly infrastructure. By potentially utilizing Earth itself as this single wire, the limitations of distance and infrastructure may become things of the past. It is upon us, the generations that follow, to recognize the brilliance in Tesla's simplified complexity and to realize the untapped potential that it holds.
Hear me! Hear this! We, the people, was not written for the rich or the powerful, but for all the people, in order to establish justice and secure the blessings of liberty.
To ordain and declare our energy independence.
These words, they must apply to everyone, or they mean nothing. Do you understand?
Fully understand. Unnamed Kirk.
Nikola Tesla's groundbreaking idea of using a single wire for power transmission is a revolutionary concept, though to be clear up front, this cutting-edge technology is not without its challenges. Challenges like finding the best locations on the globe for the practical application of using the ground as a conductor are still subjects of intense research, yet the potential benefits of Tesla's single-wire system are too significant to disregard. Let's dive into a simple yet powerful physics analogy to further grasp this concept. Imagine 2 balloons filled with air connected by a hose. Each balloon represents a reservoir of electrical charge, and the hose represents the single wire in Tesla's system. When we squeeze one balloon, the air flows through the hose and inflates the other balloon, similar to how electrical charges are conducted from a higher potential to a lower potential. When the squeezed balloon is released, the other balloon starts to discharge the air back through the hose. This back and forth movement of air is akin to the alternating current flow of charges in Tesla's single wire system. This alternating oscillation continues until all energy is dissipated due to factors like ohmic energy loss in an electrical circuit due to resistance and impedances. But how does this oscillation actually perform work in a practical setting? The oscillation is, in essence, a cyclic movement of potential energy to and from a mechanical system, creating a repetitive action that can be harnessed for the efficient transmission of significant power to perform real actionable work. The upper terminal of Tesla's magnifying transmitter, often seen as a mysterious component, actually plays a significant role in the system's efficiency. Think of it as a large capacitor or a reservoir for electrical charges to be stored into. When the system is activated, charges surge upwards into this terminal, similar to how air fills up a balloon in our previous analogy. Instead of letting these charges dissipate into the atmosphere through arcing or other wasteful processes, the upper terminal conserves them, allowing them to bounce back towards the ground. It's akin to the return discharging of air in our balloon analogy after the enlarged second balloon releases its air back through the hose after the squeezed balloon is released. The charges reverse their course and flow back the way they came, oscillating one completing cycle. This is how the upper terminal acts like a spring in its function as a giant capacitor and charge reservoir. It conserves and recycles the system's potential energy rather than losing it. By eliminating arcing from the upper terminal and reducing electromagnetic radiation, Tesla made a significant leap in the transmitter's efficiency and capability of converting the input energy into electrical energy conducted into the ground. In other words, having an upper terminal that's arcing off into the air would be analogous to the balloons having holes in them, losing potential energy as the air rushes out each time the balloons fill up. This dampens the power signal bounced back into the ground. In a similar vein, when the frequency of squeezing the balloons increases, there are eventual losses from the rapid back and forth movement of air surrounding the balloons. The acoustic waves produced by the balloon's surface can be likened to a damping of the power signal. Applying this to Tesla's magnifying transmitter, as the frequency escalates, more oscillating electromagnetic EM energy dissipates into the air from the upper terminal. This results in analogous damping of the input power signal intended for conduction into the ground. Tesla himself even stated that the magnifying transmitter, if so desired, could be designed to emit 95% of the input energy from the upper terminal as EM radiation and direct only 5% as currents into the ground. Though he explicitly claimed this to be the naive struggles of the radio men.
You can't pack sufficient energy in your radio wave to do anything we need to do mechanically.
Conversely, Tesla explained that his more favorable approach was to design it to emit only 5% of the input as EM radiation and therefore channel the remaining 95% of the input into UHVAC straight into the ground. Serendipitously, this demonstrates the transmitter's dual capability: wireless radio wave communication through the air in addition to non-interference mechanisms for the in-ground power signal transmission and transmitting information frequency bandwidths. This also clears a common misconception that the return for the circuit is through the air. The function of the upper terminal in conserving and discharging the charges back into the ground effectively dispels this notion. This action can be seen as being analogous to an oscillating mass on a spring, but for the electrical charges. The concept of the upper terminal in Tesla's wireless power transmission system can be analogized with the operation of a Helmholtz resonator in acoustics. Just as a Helmholtz resonator, commonly found in automobile muffler systems, interacts with acoustic waves by damping out specific frequencies while allowing others to pass through, Tesla's upper terminal does something analogous. It acts as a reservoir resonator for electrical charges, carefully tuned to respond to certain frequencies. The tuning of Tesla's wireless receiver, specifically the capacitance of the upper terminal and the inductance of the secondary coil, is crucial for its proper functioning. These components create a resonant circuit that determines which power signal frequencies will be allowed through and which will be filtered out. Just as in an acoustic system, where the resonator permits only a specific frequency to resonate, in Tesla's design, only the electrical frequencies that match the resonant frequency of the receiver's circuit will be allowed to pass through the secondary coil, causing a movement of charges oscillating within the circuit. All other frequencies will be filtered out, effectively preventing them from inducing a current in the secondary coil. The upper terminal and secondary coil's CL resonant circuit must be tuned appropriately to absorb the back and forth movement of the charges at the transmitted frequency, so that it minimizes any damping of the wave and hence conserving energy. This conservation is crucial, as any deviation from the tuned frequency would result in energy losses. The core of this idea is that unless the receiver is tuned precisely to the transmitting frequency, it won't receive power efficiently.
But that's not what Tesla was referring to. He was talking about moving radio waves. So then I thought, out of respect for him, what I should do is give him my opening line here.